go live. guys, hello, welcome. Welcome to our first lunch bar. We are the Christian Union. I'm Rob, your host, and this is our first lunch bar of this event's Fortnight. And today we are joined by Jake Hinton. Do you want to say hello?
Hello, you all right?
Nice to meet you, mate. And he will be speaking to us on with the title "Distance and Isolated. Where do I belong?" So I'm excited for that. It's gonna be great. But today, guys, as you may know, it is Pancake Day. And if you didn't know that, then you need to go to Tesco's quickly and get the stuff for the pancakes. In the chat, could you guys tell me what is your favourite pancake topping? We had a little prayer meeting earlier, and someone said lemon juice. No, lemon juice is normal. Orange juice and sugar. Very strange. What about you, Jake? What's your go-to?
I go straight for lemon and sugar all the time. Best one.
Go wrong. But orange juice and sugar.
That's strange. It's like orange juice from a carton. Like pure.
That's what I thought. He's just squeezing an orange.
He's got something wrong with him.
Yeah, very wrong. Well, it's also Shrove Tuesday, so it's a big day in the calendar, guys. It's a big day in the calendar. Well, we're excited to have Jake to speak to us today. He's actually a Loughborough alumni, which is
just
great,
that, isn't it?
So yeah, do you want to just like say a little bit about yourself? Give us a little introduction to yourself.
Great. Yeah, well, my name is Jake, as has been said. I studied at Loughborough. I think it's about 4 years ago now. I did industrial design technology. Great course, loved it. I'm not actually doing that right now, though. At the moment, I work for a church in Leicester called Knighton. I'm an outreach worker for them, and I'm also a part-time teaching assistant as well in a local school, which is never boring. Tell you what, primary school, and it is just craziness every day. So love that. Yeah, brilliant stuff.
I can imagine. Well, that's great. That sounds like a great job to have in a primary school. Has that been tricky with COVID or?
Yeah, it has been. The first couple of lockdowns were fine, just went in as usual. But this past lockdown, they've cut down massively on the staff because we're all so taking it serious in this. We want this to be our last whatever. So we're just really strict. So I haven't been in since January, but eventually we'll be there.
Fair enough. Well, this morning I was actually thinking about the title of the talk, and it got me thinking. It made me think of a story. So when I was younger, I was learning German for my GCSE, and I'm absolutely terrible at German. I did actually pass my German GCSE, surprisingly. But anyway, the story is that I went on a couple of German exchanges, and I felt completely isolated. Literally, all my friends that had gone on the trip as well were like hours away from me. And so, yeah, in that place, I did feel quite lonely and quite isolated. I was just wondering, is there a time in your life where you've been in a faraway land where you felt maybe isolated?
Yeah, I think one time in particular sticks out to me. I lived in Singapore for about just over a year, and that is like, it was so far away from home, from England, from Leeds. That's where originally I grew up. Man, I missed Leeds, the beautiful land, still do. But so that was a whole new time for me, new languages going around. Everything was different, the food you ate. It was definitely a scary time at first. Definitely.
How would you say you did you have any coping strategies to being back? Was it lots of phone calls back home or what was your strategy?
I think, massive part of the strategy is what I'm talking about in the talk. That is just the number one thing. But, other things like church is a huge thing. I remember one guy who's a public speaker, goes around the world, who's a Christian, and people used to ask him, like, how do you have so many friends in different countries? Because anywhere he'd go, he'd had different friends around. And he was like, I've never met these people before. But as a Christian, they're part of the church and they're Christian too. And so we have this close family connection, even though I've never met them before. And it's just like, and church was a huge thing. Even though I'd never met these people in Singapore before, I'd walk into the church and just feel at home. And it was just a huge, huge thing to have. Massive.
Yeah, well, that's really great. Yeah, I think that community sense is something that people long for. So
Yeah.
that's made me even more excited for your talk in a little while. Well, guys, if you joined us late today, welcome to our lunch bar. We are here to talk about where do you find belonging, and we're gonna have a great talk in just a second. But guys, it's going to be interactive today. So we have the chat in the YouTube if you want to use that, but we also will be using Slido for a Q&A afterwards. After the talk, we're going to ask Jake a few questions. So if you jump on Slido and use the hashtag purpose 16th, as you can see, you can post your questions on there. And the good thing about Slido is you can upvote certain questions. So if there's a question that someone else asked that you're thinking, well, that needs to be asked, then upvote it, and I'll go on to that later today. So yeah, I think I should stop waffling and hand over to you, Jake. Get involved with the questions. Maybe you can ask. They can come in at any time. Don't wait until whatever. Just get it in there, and I'll look at it towards the end. But over to you, Jake.
Great. Thanks a lot. Well, it is absolutely freezing in my house. I hope you're not offended. I'm going to put my hat on because my bald head is freezing. Okay. I hope that didn't put you off. Okay. Still listen to the words. Pico Iyer, you might recognize the name. He's a very famous author, novelist. He's an essayist, which I only found out was a thing a few weeks ago, actually. It's a new thing to me. But he's also quite renowned on speaking on particular topics around the world. And one particular topic he speaks on a lot is home and belonging and what it means and what is your home, because it's been a big question and part of his life as a man who has a heritage in India. Or his parents, his grandparents all grew up and lived in India, but he himself has never lived a day in India, and he also can't speak a word of any of the, I think it's 22,000 dialects. He doesn't know any of it. So if anyone asked him, he could never say his home was India. And he said he feels like he'd be offending India if he did say that. And then he lived most of his life in America on a visa which says you're not American, but you can stay here if you want. And he did his degree in England. And then he went to live in Japan for 25 years on a tourist visa. I have no idea how he did that. But the Japanese wouldn't say he's Japanese. And so he says he's had this question of, right, what is home? Where do I belong? He said he had a terrific liberation. He's quite a posh guy. A terrific liberation one day about what home was as he was walking upstairs in his parents' house in California. And he looked out the window and he realized to his horror that the house was engulfed in 70-foot flames. It was a wildfire that had swept through California, which is quite common in California. And over the next 3 hours, it completely destroyed the house and everything in it, apart from him and his parents. They got out safely, which is great. But he remembers waking up the next day on his friend's floor with only a toothbrush to his name that he bought at an all-night supermarket. And he thought this. He said, if anyone asked me where my home was now, I literally can't point to any physical construction. So then he realized that home had to be what he carried around inside of him. And he says this now, I think this is brilliant. He says, home is less to do with a piece of soil than a piece of soul. Now, you might not like the word soul. Pico isn't a religious man at all. He just thinks it captures that deep inner self that we feel. You could call it a deep inner consciousness if you want, that's fine. But it's that being inside of us, which is where the questions of who on earth am I? Where do I belong? What is my home? That's where it comes from. Pico calls it the soul, call it your inner consciousness. That's fine. But he says that's where home is actually found. It's not to do with a piece of soil or a constructed building. And I think we all here at university have realized this to a degree, because we had to move away from our physical home, right? For the majority of us, we moved away from that building where we had lived 18 years plus of our lives, where we felt loved, we felt known, we felt safe. We discovered things we loved to do. It's that place which was just so common and it was home to us. And as we moved to university, potentially moved away for good, it's scary because you're moving to a place where you're just like, where on earth am I? I'm in this weird land I've never been in before. I'm in a building in a room which is a bit minging, to be honest. It's not that nice. And you don't feel at home, which is why a lot of people move away and move back home in the first few weeks and months of university. But when you stay and you build up connections with friends, you start to enjoy your course. You start to get those grades which affirm who you are, the value you want in your life. You start to get stuck into teams and societies. Those feelings you had back in your hometown or that building you grew up in start to be produced here. Those feelings of being loved and appreciated by friends, being valued by what you can achieve. And you start to feel home. Because home actually has nothing to do with bricks and mortar. Home is a network of people and actions and some things that are in your life that remind you that you are loved, you belong, and that you're safe. And it's these three things that create that feeling of home in your life. It has to be these three things. You have to be loved. Because if you're not loved and appreciated and valued, you'll never feel like you belong. You'll feel pushed out. You'll feel forgotten. You'll feel marginalized. You have to have love in order to have belonging. And you have to have safety in order to have belonging, in order to have love. Because safety is that feeling of, I can't get kicked out. Safety is that I can be here and I can be in this place where I'm at and know that I'm myself and I won't be pushed out. And it's these things that create home. As Pico said, it's not to do with a piece of soil, but rather a piece of soul, that inner self that you have. But in the past few months, as we've been disconnected from all these things that create that feeling of home inside, it has been terrifying for a lot of people. Because when they go, when these things of love, safety, love, belonging, safety go, it is so scary because you feel alone. And that's when loneliness really sets in. That's when you feel like you're out in the cold. And like, you know, when you're a kid and you're coming back from school and you've forgotten your key to your house and you're just locked out and it's freezing. I remember one time it was snowing. I was like, I just want to be inside where it's warm. And I can just, live my life. It can feel like we're trapped inside. We're trapped out in the cold. We don't know where we belong. We want to be in the safety and the warmth, but we don't know where to find it. And as we've been disconnected from all these things that would create those feelings of home over the past year, it's pushed us outside. As we've been disconnected, as we've been physically avoiding people, physically pushing people out of our lives, right? We haven't been physically connecting. And for a good reason. Social distancing is absolutely something we need to do, which keeps us safe and stops the virus from spreading, but it has an adverse effect. Because as we push all our interactions and connectivity onto screens, we just realize it is a shadow form of connecting, right? Zoom and Microsoft Teams are rubbish, absolutely rubbish form to substitute to being with a person in a room with you. Because over Zoom, you have no idea what's going on in my life. I can present not a nice face perhaps, but a face which is, smiling and shows that it's happy, but actually on the inside and in my body language, which you can't see, it's just miserable. And I'm just slouched in sadness. You don't see the nervous twitch in my hand. You don't see the messiness of my house. It's a thin form of connecting. That's what we've been pushed onto over this past year, whether it's for the right reasons or not. And it brings a bad effect because we don't get that feeling of love, of being wanted. Because you don't fully see me. I don't even know if you can properly hear me right now. I might be broken up for all I know. And look, I, for one, when I close my laptop after, the 10th Zoom of the day or whatever, I feel more worn out than loved. I do. It's just a shadow of what we used to have. It's like going for the shadow of a chocolate bar instead of getting the chocolate bar itself, right? You're missing a whole other dimension. And it's this disconnect from people which makes us feel unloved, makes us feel unwanted, which questions where we belong and makes us feel unsafe. It puts us in the cold. It takes us out of our home. It's this which has been happening over the past year. And it's not just with people, right? As I said, it's this network of people, of actions as well. And by actions, I mean the work you have, the grades you get, the education which you love, the hobbies which you used to be able to do, which you can't do now. I used to love rock climbing, can't right now. All these things which have been cut off, which would give us that sense of value and belonging. It's been threatened in the past year. Like I've just been talking to you guys, and it's just been so hard to go to university over Zoom. You don't feel connected to your lecturer. You can't really show them where you're at. You know, I used to love going up to my lecturer and just being like, I'm freaking out because I just don't know how to do this work. You can't do that so much now. And that brings worries over grades, brings worries over not keeping up that performance, which used to remind you that you're worth something, that you're good at something. It brings questions of your future because you're worried whether you'll get that job, whether the economy itself will be there for your job in the future. Man, it's been a scary time. There's all these things which made us feel loved, belonging, made us feel belong, and made us feel safe in the world. It's just been blurred. In some cases, it's just been gone, taken out of our lives. And look, this kind of lostness and this kind of feeling of not belonging and losing the home inside is not new to 2020 or 2021. This is not a new thing. I've been there before, right? I've been out in the cold inside. I felt like I don't belong and fit in before inside, when I've been rejected by people face to face, when I've broken up from a relationship, and I just feel like that lack of love and care is there. I'm just like, where do I belong and fit in? And I've messed up in work big time. And it's caused me to question who I am and where I should be. Do you see this network which I call home, which is supposed to make me feel loved, which is supposed to make me feel like I belong, which is supposed to keep me safe in this life, has been shaken before. The truth is, I need a better home. I need a better place on the inside. I need a home, a place where I feel loved, where I belong, where I'm safe. And that cannot be dependent on people's availability to me or their opinions of me. And I need a love which is not dependent on me earning it or performing well in the week, getting the right grade. I need a self-worth which is not dependent on my own performance. Because, man, I'm going to mess up so many times in life. And I can't deal with feeling lost every time I do. I need a better home. I need a home which I can't be disconnected from. I need a home which doesn't throw me out when I perform badly. And look, if you can have this kind of home, which is not dependent on these things, it leads to a powerful life. It leads to a life that is not affected by the swayings of society. And this home exists. You can have this home. Jesus said these words, "In my Father's house, there are many rooms. I go there to prepare a place for you." You can have a home in God. A place where your soul, that deep inner consciousness, can rest. Where you feel and you know that you are loved, you belong, and you are so safe. And that is the rock for your life. Jesus says God can be your home, and Jesus made a way for that to be possible, where you can know God, be in a relationship with him. And when you do, man, you will find a love which is not on you because you've earned it, not on you because you've performed well this week, but is on you because you're a human being who he's made. That's why he loves you. And you'll find a love that is not dependent on human beings and their opinions. What they think of you doesn't change it. God's love is still there for you. And it's not a love. This is quite important. It's not a love that agrees with our every decision. Okay, it's not. But it's a love that will never put you down and will never mock you when you mess up in life. But it's a love that will steer and guide you gently through this life. Oh, and look, when you are with God, when you've made your home in him, you have a relationship with him, you find a self-worth far greater than anything you could create, far greater than any grade could say. Because God says he loves you so much, he is willing to give his life for you. And that's what we see he does as Jesus on the cross. You are worth the life of God. It's a value far greater than any other. There is no greater place of love and self-worth than in God's house, in God's home. And from this base of love and worth comes a belonging so strong, comes a safety so sweet that society's constant ebbing and flowing won't knock you. Oh, for sure, there are still times where I fear. For sure, there are still times where I feel alone. But all it takes is a refocusing and a realizing of, wait, my home is in God. It doesn't matter what these people say about me. It doesn't matter what grade I got last week, because my love and security and belonging is found in him alone. Because he made me, and he says the value on me is far greater than I could understand. Someone else in the Bible wrote of this experience. They said, my father and mother have forsaken me, but God will take me in. So be strong and take heart. Even though right now I'm disconnected from my friends and family, look, even though, and I don't know your situation, perhaps you were rejected from your friends and family far before 2020. Even though that's happened, go to God's house, where you will find a love so strong and a worth so great. The God who made the complexities of this universe would give his life for you. It's a home like none other. It's a belonging so strong, a safety so sweet. There's no greater place to find your home than in God. Home is not to do with a piece of soil, but a piece of soul. And your soul can have rest in God. Great. That's all I have to share with you right now. I'm just going to pray for us quickly. Please do get in touch. Please put your questions on Slido. I'm happy to give a go at answering them. I won't have all the answers for definite, but please do. This is a really important topic, and I think it's such a powerful life to have and such a better life to have. I'm just going to pray. Thank you, Father, that you are where our home can be, that you're the place where our sense of love and belonging and safety really is. I pray you'd speak to us now, and I pray for anyone searching that they would not feel scared to ask questions. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much for that, Jake. That's really inspiring. That's got me gassed. I know there's lots of international students watching, and so that story that you were telling at the start, what was the guy's name again?
Pico Aya.
Yeah. I'm sure that's going to resonate with a lot of people.
Look up his videos; it's incredible stuff.
Yeah, guys, go check that out. But yeah, no, I think that's going to apply to those people, and it applies to all of us. We're all in a new place, so thank you. That was spot on for the people here. And a few things that I kind of thought about is that, when you were speaking about it being so kind of Zoom being so like, I just can't wait to meet you now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't wait to just meet people that I've met over Zoom.
Yeah, definitely.
And have that community. And I guess this is like the best we can have out of a bad situation.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I can't wait to meet you, mate.
Very great.
And then lastly, the last point I just was thinking about, when you're talking about the Father's house with many rooms, like obviously there's going to be lots of people with different upbringings on the call. So some people from very where family life was, very loving, and some people where maybe it was a bit more broken. But yeah, what you said about different rooms really struck me, because like it's not one size fits all. God's house is for everyone, and His love is like is the same for everyone. Doesn't matter if you come from a broken home or a home that's without fault. And so that really struck me too. So yeah, thanks so much for that. We've got some questions here.
Brilliant.
In Slido. So I'll just ask you a few. If you've got any more questions, keep them coming. But here we go. So top question is, how and where can I find out more about this new home? So what would be your advice is to find about this new home? Where, how, where? Yeah.
My biggest piece of advice right now would be going to the rest of the search week you put on, man, because I've just described like a big picture of it. But if you keep coming to the searching, what did you call it, search week or events week?
Events Fortnight.
Events Fortnight. Keep coming to that, and you'll keep seeing different parts of this home you can have with God, and it'll answer a lot of questions, far more than I can say right now in these minutes. But that's the biggest piece of advice: is keep going to this if you're interested, for sure, and also ask your friends who are Christians as well. And I think are you doing an uncover?
Yes. Well, that segues straight into this. So here's an Uncover Mark book. We've got loads of them, so we really want to give them out to you guys. And it basically is a commentary to go along with the book of Mark in the Bible, and it will give you a really, it's written for people our age. So it's a great read. You can either read it with a friend or read it on your own. But yeah, definitely give that a go. Actually, really on that, we've got a question that kind of, is a bit about that. It's asking, what book of the Bible can I read to learn more about this and to find belonging? What is the first book that comes to mind?
I would go with doing Uncover Mark, because you will find, because what really strikes me is the story of Jesus, which is what Mark talks about, and all the four Gospels do, is just an account of Jesus' life. You see this man called Jesus who is rejected by so many people, who is rejected by his own family at times, and he's spat upon, mocked upon. But you know what? He has the strongest character you ever see in anyone. So his sense of home has to be not in the people and his actions around him, but from somewhere else. And as you go through Mark, you'll find out that Jesus gets his sense of strength and love and worth from God. And that's the reason why he could go through all the rejection that he faced, go through the pain that he suffered, because he knew that it wasn't the people that defined him, but it was God. And you'll see that as you go and look through Jesus' life in Uncover Mark. So I really recommend that.
Kind of just on that, really, when you were at university, when you were at Loughborough, your time here, did you know that for yourself? And so how was your uni experience, really? Was it quite isolated at times, or did you have this kind of truth to depend on?
Yeah, I think you only realize you're depending on it when you're in a real situation where you feel helpless. And so I realized how much I depended on it when I went away to Singapore, for sure, because I was so far from family, friends. Yeah. We had to do Zoom, obviously. Well, it wasn't Zoom, it was probably FaceTime or something. And I can't remember shutting the laptop when I was down from talking to mum and dad. I was just like, I just wish they were here, because I don't, it was nice when I was talking to them, but I don't really feel that love and connection that I know I want. And it was as I was there and I realized that it's got to be something more. And I was looking at God and how he views me and how he loves me and how he's with me wherever I go. And it was reading these people's accounts in the Bibles, like that person I talked about who said, my mother and father reject me, but God will take me in. And it was finding that strength in him. And it was particularly in that moment, that year, really realized this has to be everything for me. And it gave me a sense of security and worth, which, man, I don't think I'd experienced until that point, for sure.
Very much. Yeah. Mate, top answers here. Thank you so much. It's a real blessing.
Might get worse.
We've got a challenge here for us, for both of us, actually. and it's, how would you describe God's love in 20 seconds? Do you want to go first, or I don't have time to prepare because I
read a strange amount of time there.
I know, 20 seconds. What's that about? All right, I'm going to time it, but here we go.
We going now?
I'll go first. I'll go first.
Okay.
I would say God's love is for everyone, and is there in the good and the bad. It's not defined by our actions, which is just completely freeing, and it's countercultural. It's not like of this world where you get loved if you do something. And I say that's God's love.
Yeah.
Over to you, mate.
I would say God's love is completely different to the love you'll feel from other people because it's unconditional, and we don't have an experience of unconditional love in this world. Not completely. So it's not reliant upon the way you act. It's not reliant upon, performance, like I said before, but it's on you because you are a human being. You're part of God's image. And God absolutely loves you because of that. And he'd give anything for you. His love's so great that he gave himself for you. That's all. I guess that's where I'd say in 20 seconds. Yeah,
definitely. Cool. Well, I think we've one last question for now. There might be, if one gets in real quick, we might get a chance to answer it. So guys, keep getting in there. I've just forgotten the name of the thing.
Slido.
Yeah, Slido. Keep getting in there. So yeah, don't want to miss out on asking any questions. And also, guys, if there are any questions, talk to the person who's invited you, or get involved through the Love for CU Instagram page. DM us, and someone will reply to you through that. But yeah, here's the question from Jonah. He says, if God's love doesn't change based on what we do or who we are, then why do people choose to change their behavior after they become a Christian?
Hey, great. That's a really good question.
Jonah's done well there.
Oh, I tell you. So I'd say, because it's not when I say God's love is on you no matter what you do, it's not an abstract thing. And the reason why you experience it is because you're in a relationship with him. And I have a girlfriend, and when I'm in a relationship with her, her love is on me and for me. And because of that, I want to follow what, I don't want to hurt her. That's what I do. I want to try and help her and please her. And it's the same with God. When you see the amount of love God has for you, it changes your heart to want to be more like him and to want to please him and live in the ways that he says. So like I said, his love is on you, but his love doesn't always agree with everything you do, but it will guide you and steer you, because you'll realize what you don't want to do because of it. It changes your heart within because it's a relationship, and you want to please God because of the ways that he's loved you already. It's incredible. It's a transformative love, but not one which is from an iron fist, but is one from an unconditional source.
Yeah. Wow. That's immense.
That's right.
Yeah, I was just thinking of LZ7. It's a Christian music group, and they've got a song called "Home Is Where the Heart Is," and I think it's kind of that sense of home, and the love is, that's where your heart. It's not defined by anywhere else but God's input on your heart. So that's really cool to think about. And moving slightly, just shifting it slightly. So obviously we're talking about from darkness into light, and we've kind of emphasized the dark side of this, of going out. But obviously at Loughborough, we've got a great CU which is thriving, and anyone can talk to any of us at any time. I'm sure people will be happy to do that. And there's lots of churches around, so there's a community around. But I don't know, Jake, maybe you could tell us a story of something that's maybe not church related, but a community story of where you've come out of feeling kind of isolated, and you've had a sick time. Right? Is there a story? Because I've got a couple, but I want to ask you first.
Is that so? Not related to church? Well, not related.
Not as in when I say not related to church, I mean maybe not related to Sunday morning.
Okay, sure.
But is there, what kind of things? Is there any extras that go on in the community? What sort of thing?
Yeah. The biggest thing which absolutely changes your life is having a community which you can be vulnerable in, where you can take your face off, you can take your mask off, not your face, keep your face on, but you can take the mask off of trying to be everything you think people want to see, and actually you just feel exhausted at the end of it. Jim Carrey, the famous actor, said he tried to be everything people wanted, and he just felt exhausted at the end of it, and he sunk into an awful place, and he realized you have to be yourself. You can't just be a character in the film of this world. So the greatest thing which the church gave me, community, not Sunday morning, but throughout the week, throughout my life, is the ability to be me and show all my faults, all my failures. That brought a sense of love and worth, like, man, I'd never experienced before. Yeah.
Great. Well, yeah, I mean, for me, exactly what you're thinking, but some examples would be like throughout the week, I have like a church curry night.
Yeah.
And we go to the curry house and just eat like vindaloos and just regret it the next day. And like football as well. There's lots of church football. Actually, this is a good plug. If anyone is a keen footballer, let us know. We get you involved with Loughborough Churches football, and that would be great. But yeah, I think there's a perception that churches, Sunday morning and and kind of a thing, kind of an old-fashioned, kind of outdated thing, when in reality it's not really the case. So hopefully this is kind of shed some light onto that it's a community of people who, I mean, if you enjoy baking, why have I said enjoy baking? Well, that is a segue into what's happening tomorrow. But if you enjoy baking, if you can do anything in the community, and the main thing is that you'll be loved, which is just great. So yeah, Ashley, so tomorrow, guys, is a hashtag we time, and you should know already what's going on. If not, if you're not in a group of people that are doing something tomorrow, just DM the Instagram, or just ask me personally on my Instagram, and we can sort you out into a group. There'll be lots of activities going on, so different groups will be doing different things. So my impact group will be baking. I know other people are playing Among Us. There's some people that are making cocktails. So we can get you in anything that you fancy. So if you fancy a curry night, I'm sure someone's got to be doing a curry night tomorrow. If there isn't, I'll do a curry night. We've got loads of stuff on, so get involved with that. That's really great. Now, I know we talked about Uncover Mark earlier. If you do want to get your hands on a copy of this, if you DM the Instagram, we can chat to you. Oh, my light's gone off. We can chat to you, and someone of us can deliver it to you if you're in Loughborough, or we can definitely post it to you if you're back at home or in Taiwan. So yeah, that is Uncover Mark. So we're coming towards the end of our time today, but we've got plenty more events in this events fortnight. It's only the second day, guys. It's only the second day, so we've got loads and loads of time. Remember to keep asking questions to the person who brought you, and yeah, we hope you guys are enjoying so far. There's big things to come. I'm so excited for Friday for the murder mystery. That is going to be immense. So yeah, that's going to be a great time. And thank you, Jake, for being with us today.
No problem.
Really, really inspiring talk. Really, it was great. Have you got a final word for us before we close?
Just keep asking questions. Whether you come to the conclusion that this is right or not, don't stay in a place of unknown. Just keep finding out what this life is about, and you'll find the answer. And I think it will lead to God through Jesus, but you'll see. Okay, great. Thanks for that. Well, we'll see you guys tomorrow, or on Thursday, or on Friday. Keep on the Loughborough CU Instagram. There'll be all the information on there, and we'll see you guys soon. Goodbye.